In the city of Changsha, China, a crew put up a full 10-story apartment building in 28 hours and 45 minutes. Not the frame, not a shell, the whole thing. Walls, windows, wiring, plumbing, floors, all of it. Done in less time than a long weekend. Now stop and picture what that means. Where you live, a building that size takes a year, maybe two, cranes for months, concrete trucks lined up down the block, workers in and out from spring to winter. This crew started on a Monday and finished before Tuesday night. And people moved in. If that sounds impossible, good. It should. Because concrete does not move that fast. Nothing built the old way moves that fast. So either someone faked a video or someone threw out the entire rulebook for how you put up a building. The company behind it isn't a giant American builder. It isn't a famous European firm. It's a Chinese company called Broad Group. And here is the strange part. Broad Group did not start out building anything. They made air conditioners, big industrial ones. The man who runs it never trained as an architect. He never poured a foundation in his life. And the 28-hour building is not even the wildest thing he built. Broad Group also put up a 57-story skyscraper in 19 days. They put up a 26-story tower in just over 5 days. 5 days. By the end of this video, you will understand exactly how one air conditioning boss did what the whole construction world said could not be done. And you will understand why most of the planet still can't copy it. Before we get into it, if you enjoy videos like this one, hit the like button right now. These take a serious amount of research and time to put together, and every like helps push it to more people who would find it interesting. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss what China builds next. Now, to really understand this, we have to go back to a very bad day. The day was May 12th, 2008. A magnitude 8.0 earthquake tore through Sichuan province in southwest China. It killed close to 70,000 people. Whole towns fell in minutes. And a lot of the people who died were not killed by the shaking itself. They were killed by the buildings on top of them. Here is the thing about the buildings that fell. Most were made of concrete. And concrete has a flaw that most people never think about. Concrete is strong when you push down on it. Stack weight on top, it holds. But concrete does not bend. When the ground shakes and twists a building sideways, concrete has no give. It doesn't sway and settle, it cracks. And once it cracks, it goes fast with almost no warning. 1 second a wall is standing. The next second the floor above is on the floor below. Zhang Yue watched that happen to his own country. He ran Broad Group at the time, one of the largest air conditioning makers in China. He had no reason to care about buildings. Air conditioners were a good business. But something about those collapsed schools and apartments stuck with him. He kept asking a simple question. Why do we still build homes out of a material that shatters when the earth moves? Most people would have donated money and moved on. Zhang did something else. He decided to reinvent how buildings get made. From zero. And here's where his outsider status turned into his biggest advantage. Zhang did not go hire the best traditional builders in China. He did not bring in the old construction bosses who had done it the same way for 50 years. He went and hired people from aerospace. He hired people who built cars on assembly lines. He wanted people who thought about precision, about repeating the exact same thing perfectly 1,000 times. People who did not carry any assumptions about how a building was supposed to go up. Think about that for a second. He asked people who build airplanes and cars to build apartments. That one choice changed everything. Because if you build a car, you don't build it outside in the mud. You don't wait for good weather. You build it indoors, on a line, in a factory. Every part is measured to the millimeter. Every part is the same as the last one. So Zhang asked the obvious question that nobody in construction had really asked. What if you built a building the same way you build a car? That is the whole idea. And it is so simple it sounds fake. Broad Group does not really build buildings on the construction site. They build them in a factory. Their factory covers 230,000 square meters. Inside, workers build room-size boxes, steel modules. Each module comes out finished. It already has the walls, it already has the windows in place. The wiring is run through it. The plumbing is in. The floor is down. The ceiling is up. You could almost walk in and hang a picture. Then they load these finished boxes onto trucks and drive them to the site. And on site, the crew does not build, they assemble. They stack the boxes and bolt them together. Like Lego, big steel Lego, where each brick is a fully finished room. That is why the 10-story building took 28 hours. Almost nothing was being made on site. It was being clicked together. The slow, messy, weather-beaten part of construction already happened inside a clean factory weeks earlier. Let me give you the run on the big one, because the numbers are hard to believe until you say them out loud. The 57-story skyscraper is called Mini Sky City in Changsha. It stands 204 meters tall. It has 800 apartments. It has office space for 4,000 people. It has stores on the ground floor. It is a real full skyscraper that people live and work in right now. Built conventionally, a 57-story tower takes about 2 years. 2 years of cranes, mud, and noise. Broad Group put it up in 19 days. They ran a crew of about 1,200 workers, going up around 3 floors a day. Over 90% of the building showed up already finished from the factory. And because so little concrete was poured on site, that one project replaced roughly 15,000 concrete truck deliveries. Picture 15,000 heavy trucks that never had to rumble through the city. That is the pollution, the traffic, and the noise that just never happened. Now here's the question you're already asking. I know you're asking it because everyone does. Is it safe? A building bolted together like a toy in 19 days. Would you actually sleep on the 40th floor of that thing? Good, ask that question. Because the answer is the best part of this whole story. Remember the earthquake. Remember concrete's flaw. It cannot bend, so it cracks. Steel does the opposite. Steel flexes. When force hits a steel building, the frame bends a little and then springs back to its shape. It gives, then it recovers. The bolted joints where the modules meet actually help here. They absorb some of the movement instead of fighting it. The China Academy of Building Research measured this steel. Compared to concrete, Broad Group's steel structure is about 10 times lighter and about 100 times stronger under load. Lighter and stronger at the same time. A lighter building has less mass trying to tear itself apart in a quake and a stronger frame to hold what's left. So how much shaking can it take? Broad Group buildings are rated to survive a magnitude 9 earthquake. Remember, the Sichuan quake that killed 70,000 people was a magnitude 8.0. And on the scale that measures quakes, each full number up is much, much bigger than the last. A magnitude 9 releases far more energy than a magnitude 8. These buildings are built to stand through the kind of event that flattens whole cities. And it gets better. A concrete building is expected to last somewhere between 50 and 100 years. After that, the concrete starts to break down and you tear it down and start over. Broad Group designs its steel buildings to last about 1,000 years. 1,000. You would not be replacing this thing. Your great-great-grandchildren would still be living in it. There is one more piece to this, and it might be the most important one for the planet. Because these buildings are bolted, not glued together with concrete, you can take them apart. If a building is in the wrong place, you can unbolt the modules and reuse them somewhere else. That single fact cuts construction waste by more than 90%. Think about a normal demolition. A wrecking crew smashes a building into a mountain of broken concrete and twisted rebar, and most of it goes to a landfill. Now imagine instead unbolting the building, loading the rooms back onto trucks, and driving them to a new site to build again. The building becomes a set of parts you can move. That is a completely different way to think about a city. So we have a man who sold air conditioners, who got angry after an earthquake, who hired airplane engineers, and who now builds skyscrapers in less time than it takes most people to book a vacation. You would think that would be the whole story. It isn't. Because Broad Group is not the only Chinese company tearing up the construction rulebook. And the second one does something even stranger. It doesn't stack finished rooms. It prints the house. The company is called Winsun, out of Shanghai. And they use giant 3D printers. Not the little desktop kind that squirts out plastic phone cases. Machines the size of a building. These printers move back and forth on a track, laying down a paste layer by layer, slowly building up a wall from the ground. And here's the part that makes it clever. What are they printing with? Mostly recycled construction waste. They take the rubble and leftover material that normally gets dumped, grind it up, mix it with a fast-drying cement, and turn it into the ink for the printer. So the trash from old buildings becomes the material for new ones. How fast is it? Winsun printed 10 complete move-in ready houses in a single day. 10 houses in one day. The printer runs, the walls stack up, the paste hardens, and you have the shell of a home in hours. The money side is where it really lands. Winson says 3D printing cuts material costs by 30 to 60% compared to normal building. That is a huge range, but even the low end changes everything. And because a printer just follows a design file, a curved wall costs the same as a straight one. Weird shapes, custom layouts, all free. The printer does not care, it just follows the plan. Now think about where that matters most. A village hit by a flood, a region too poor for a full construction crew, a place that needs 50 homes fast and cheap. A printer and a pile of recycled material can do what used to take an army of workers and months of time. So put these two companies side by side. Broad Group stacks steel rooms from a factory, Winson prints houses from trash. Different methods, same idea. Stop building the slow, wasteful, old way. Build fast, build cheap, build strong, and stop throwing away the planet in the process. Now you might be thinking, okay, if this is real, if it's this fast and this cheap and this strong, why isn't every country doing it? Why is your city still full of cranes that sit there for 2 years? Here's where it gets uncomfortable. Because the answer is not about the technology works. The answer is about everything around the technology. Let me show you how big the demand actually is first, so you feel the stakes. The world needs roughly 100 million new homes right now. Not someday, right now. People are living in places that are too small, too expensive, or falling apart. That is a gap that traditional building has completely failed to close. And the market knows it. The global modular construction market, that's the fancy name for building with factory-made pieces, was worth about $95 billion in 2025. It is expected to pass $175 billion by 2034. That is nearly double in under 10 years. Asia holds about 45% of that whole market. China alone has committed over $1 trillion to infrastructure. This is not a quirky experiment happening in one Chinese city. Governments are already leaning in. Singapore now requires modular construction for its public housing. Not suggests, requires. The United Kingdom has put billions into factory-built housing programs. Japan and South Korea are building out their own systems. The rest of the world is paying very close attention. So why isn't it everywhere? 4 reasons, and none of them are engineering. The first is building codes. Most cities wrote their rules decades ago, based on how you build with concrete and wood, on-site, brick by brick. Those rules never imagined a finished room arriving on a truck. So when a company shows up wanting to bolt a building together in a week, the local inspector opens a rulebook that has no page for it. And when the rulebook has no page for it, the answer is usually no. Not because it's unsafe, because it's unfamiliar. The second is the supply chain. Building has been done the same way for a very long time. There are cement companies, brick makers, crane operators, and thousands of small contractors who all make their living from the slow way. That is a huge locked-in system. Modular building doesn't slide neatly into it. It replaces big chunks of it, and systems that big do not like being replaced. The third is developers themselves. The people who pay for buildings are careful with their money. Very careful. They know the old way. It's slow and it's expensive, but it's predictable. They know exactly what they're getting. Ask them to bet millions on a factory-built method they've never used, and most of them freeze. Nobody wants to be the first one to try something new with that much money on the line. And the fourth reason is the hardest one, because it's about people, not paperwork. Construction employs a lot of workers. In the United States, the average construction worker is over 40 years old. These are people with real skills, real families, real jobs. Now imagine a method where most of the building gets made by machines in a factory, and the on-site crew shrinks. Remember, Broad Group put up that 26-story tower with only about 100 workers on site. A normal project that size would need far more. So this technology does not just change how we build, it changes who has a job. And that is a real cost, not a small one. It's fair to be uneasy about it. Faster and cheaper for the world can still mean a laid-off worker in your town. Any honest look at this has to sit with that. Put all 4 barriers together and you get a strange gap. On one side, we have the ability to build safe, cheap, strong homes in days. On the other side, we have a world with a 100 million home shortage that mostly refuses to use it. The wall between those two things is not made of steel or concrete. It's made of rules, habits, fear, and old contracts. And that gap is exactly the point. The thing standing between millions of people and a decent home is not that we don't know how. We know how. Zhang Yue proved it. Win Sun proved it. The thing standing in the way is that changing an entire industry is slow, even when the new way is clearly better. Now let me bring you back to that 26-story tower broad group built in 5 days, because I want you to feel it against something you know. That same building, 26 stories in a city like London or New York, takes about 3 years. 3 years from the first piece of paperwork to the day someone moves in. Meetings, permits, delays, weather, more meetings. 3 years. Broad Group did it in a little over 5 days with about 100 people. 5 days against 3 years. That is not a small improvement. That is a completely different species of building. And the only reason it isn't the new normal everywhere is that most of the world hasn't decided to allow it yet. So think back to that day in 2008. A man who made air conditioners stood there and asked a question nobody in his industry wanted to answer. Why do we build homes out of a material that shatters when the earth moves? He had no training. He had no right, on paper, to reinvent anything. And that is exactly why he could. He didn't know which rules he was supposed to obey. So he ignored the ones that made no sense. He hired the people who build airplanes. He built rooms in a factory. He bolted a skyscraper together in 19 days. He built something meant to stand for 1,000 years, while the buildings around it will be torn down in 50. The buildings are ready. The machines work. The math works. The safety numbers are better than what most of us sleep in tonight. The only thing not ready is us. So here's the question I want you to sit with. If a company could put up your apartment building in 19 days, one that survives a magnitude 9 earthquake and lasts 1,000 years, would you move in? Or would the idea of a building that got bolted together like Lego keep you up at night? Drop your answer in the comments below. I read every single one.